Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Workbench Wednesday. It's been a busy couple of weeks here at Lionel. We took a few weeks off. We had a train show to go to for a change, which was really nice to get back out on the road again, and getting everything ready with the catalog launch from the beginning of the year. So we've had a lot going on, and took a few weeks off of this just to keep up with getting the bills paid, so to speak, for work. But tonight we've got a fun, easy project. This is a nice one evening project that will take some of the work and mess out of cleaning your wheels on your rolling stock. And this will work in any scale or gauge. I'm going to demonstrate it on some HO track. I was going to actually do a piece of American Flyer fast track tonight because we never show anything on Flyer fast track, but I forgot to bring it home from the office. So we're going to use this bit of HO track tonight here to get this little project done. But as you'll see as we get through this, it's a universal scale type of thing. You could use this in N scale, probably even Z scale if you use the right gauge wire. I haven't tried it in Z yet. On the way up to 1-inch gauge. Now, keeping your wheels clean is a never-ending and not all that enjoyable process. We've covered that and cleaning track in past editions of Workbench Wednesday. So this is a simple tip that I picked up from a good friend of mine back in Pennsylvania, Ken McCory, who has a beautiful and good-sized model railroad by pretty much anyone's standards, and with a layout, with a larger layout and a large fleet of rolling stock, just the constant maintenance to keep things running is a challenge. And even on a small layout, it's a challenge. So this is something that I picked up from him. Ken would probably credit it to somebody else as well down the line. I'm not sure who originated the idea, if it wasn't Ken, but I'll give him credit since he's the source where I learned this. And it does do the job, and it takes a lot of the work out of the process. And you don't need a whole lot of tools. As I said, this is a one evening project. You can make a bunch of these, position them around your layout. And then every time you run your trains, you do a little bit of housekeeping at the same time. So the more you run the trains, the better off you are. And that's a good excuse to run trains. So go over the materials list here to do this. You're going to need just a couple of basic things. You're going to want some wire. Pretty much any type of wire will do. You want something with a little bit of rigidity. I happen to have just a piece of piano wire lying around. So that's what we're going to be using tonight for this. It's actually a little bit harder and stiffer than you really need for this project. But you could use, again, pretty much any type of wire, as long as it's not too soft and flexible. And you're going to need some single ply paper towels. The single ply is important. You'll see why in a little bit. Brown or white doesn't really matter, but single ply over the nicer 2-ply stuff. Get the cheap ones for this project. You'll find it actually works better. We're going to need a small ruler of some sort, a pair of needle nose pliers, pair of wire cutters, and a hobby knife with a brand new, fresh, sharp blade on there. That's pretty much it. So no special heavy-duty machinery or tools required here, and this will go real nice. So I've already made the first piece. What we're going to do is we're going to make a set of wire holders to attach our cleaning strip over the rails. So if you're doing this in most of the scales where you have 2 rails, you're going to need to make 3 of these wires. If you're doing it in 3-rail O, this works just as well. You just need to make a 4th wire. And then you'll go over each side of the center rail that way. I have done this in O gauge before. I used to set this up for the when we would take the Lionel modules on the road, and it always got a lot of questions at the shows of what was going on and why we were doing that. What we're going to do is we're going to make 3 of these loops. Let me get this under the camera here. 3 simple staple shapes out of the wire. And we'll start by making our first bend. The exact height is not important. You just want this tall enough so that it will anchor into the road bed. Make our first 90-degree bend. And then I use this T-square ruler as my guide to make the strips. So I want to make sure I'm using the same rough guide for these holders. And I'm going to give it a little bit of slack. So I'm going to now grab the wire with just a little bit of room left over to spare. Trying to make sure I'm doing this in front of the camera for everybody. Keep the sides perpendicular. Another 90-degree bend. And then we want to just trim that off flush. Okay. And there's number 2. I'm going to make one more of those. So if you missed it the first time, here we go again. First 90-degree bend. Get my length as a guide. This isn't critical, but you definitely want to make sure that you're not making this too tight so you have easy access to the paper towels to change them in and out. Another 90-degree bend. Tighter. And another cut. Again, I'm using the piano wire, stiffer than you really need, harder to cut through than you really need, but it's what I had on hand. These poor little wire nippers are feeling it. Okay, now that I've done the hard part, we're going to pick a spot on our layout and install our cleaner. And I'm going to do it right here so that it's in front of the camera. I think we're in front of the camera there. These might be a little harder to see because the wires aren't painted. But that's actually kind of the nice part is once you take the paper towels out, this will really blend right into your scenery. And you don't have to take it out of your layout entirely. Now, if you were taking pictures of your railroad or something like that, you might want to pull the wire harnesses out. And no harm, no foul. No one would ever know they were there. But just having them sit like this during during your regular running with no towel in there, they'll be hardly noticeable. So now, as I alluded to earlier, we need to make some strips of the paper towel to go underneath this. Got the cutting board here. And I'm going to do that with the same paper towel, or the same ruler and a paper towel that we used before. Yeah, where did I put my X-Acto knife? There we are. Let me turn this around since I'm right-handed. And left-handed knife cutting is not something I want to get into right now. I know my limits. All right, so we're going to just lay that there and make a cut. And you can make a bunch of these. I'm just going to do one or two here now because there's nothing really more exciting than watching a guy on YouTube cut paper towels into strips, right? Okay, get that out of the way. Now what we're going to do is we're going to thread this through. We're going to go underneath the wire. I've made this probably a little longer of a strip than I needed to also, but that's okay. Grab paper towels. You know what? You can do it easier than that. Just take the wire out. Save some time. Take the wires out. Make it easy. Lay the paper towel across. Press it down with the wire. In the middle. And on the edges. I think you can figure out how this is going to work pretty easily here. We've now got that sandwiched in there nicely. You do want it to be down snug on the rails so you're not catching your wheels as the trains roll by. And to put the cleaner in action, all we really need to do now is run a train. As your train goes back and forth across these strips, one cross at a time, just try and rub this a little bit to speed up the process so you can hopefully see something here. Hopefully I've got a little dirt on these wheels. And of course, we're just simulating now multiple trains, right, going across that. You start to get a nice little black line on the paper towel where you've cleaned the dirt off of your wheels. As you're going through, you're running your trains and you get a bit of a dark line on there, just slide the paper towel over a little bit and keep on going. So you can get multiple runs out of this. Eventually, you run out of paper towel, you just take it out, put in a new one. I'm not putting any cleaner on it. I'm not trying to do any sort of a wet clean, but it's just a dry paper towel and the train itself going over to take care of things. You can put these all around your layout. You don't need to make just one of them. The more you place around your layout, the more places you hit wheels, the more times you'll get things, get your train cleaned. The smaller scales, the more important it is to have clean wheels. You start to notice that your lights are flickering in your locomotives or your passenger cars. It's a good sign that either your track or your wheels need to be cleaned. I won't say this completely replaces the need to clean your track or to do a heavy cleaning on your wheels once in a while, but it definitely reduces the number of times that you'll have to do that over the course of a year or so. And the more you run the trains, the more you'll keep the wheels clean doing this. The only places I wouldn't put these any place too close to a switch, because you are going to have a little bit of a dead spot on these rails here for the width of this paper towel. Again, in HO, this is about an inch. In HO or anything bigger, that shouldn't be a problem. In N scale, you might want to make the paper towel just a little bit more narrow, but you'd probably still be okay even in N scale with a paper towel at this width. It's just easier to work with at this size. I also wouldn't necessarily recommend going much wider either, because then the paper towel starts to want to bunch on you. But put these someplace where you're not going to also have an offsetting dead spot like a switch frog, where you might stall a locomotive working. Put them at the entrance to or in the middle of a curve, because actually you'll get more side-to-side play on the wheel there, so you'll actually get a little bit better clean in a curve than on a straight track. If you've got multiple curves in different directions, put some on left-handed curves, some on right-handed curves, put some on tangent track. That way you're always getting different spots of the wheels and different places in the rotation of your wheels. So the more you place, the better it goes. As you saw here, it doesn't really cost you a whole lot, but some scrap wire and paper towels, and in a few minutes you can make up a bunch of these things and then have them placed all around your layout. So real quick and simple how-to tonight. I wanted to do something that was just an easy thing that you could all turn this off and just go right to your train room and make a few of these and put it to the test and see how it works. We're going to be back with the next Workbench Wednesday in, I think it's 2 weeks, on March 2nd. And we're going to have a special guest who's in the comments now. I see Harry Henning making some comments in there, mentioning that this works well with O-Gauge. It definitely does. Harry is an outstanding modeler, just an amazing friend of the whole hobby industry and his customers, and Lionel is a brand, and I also consider him a friend personally. So very excited to have Harry come in on next week, and we'll be talking about well, not sure what we'll be talking about yet. Harry's one of those guys who is a master of so many things that we're going to shop around a little bit and pick some ideas to talk about, and get to hear from an expert other than just me out here spouting all the time on our next show. So definitely look forward to that on March 2nd. We'll have Harry on here at 7 o'clock. So really looking forward to that. Question of would a cleaner enhance this process? It can, but the nice thing about this is you kind of set this and forget it. I like to set these around the beginning of a running session and then walk away from it. If you put cleaner on, eventually that's going to, as it sits there longer, it's either going to evaporate or you're going to soak the paper towel and it's going to start to disintegrate on you as the train's running. And so I typically don't do that. I find that just every time I've used it and seen it in use, just a dry paper towel really works quite nicely. If you're doing a more thorough cleaning once in a while, however, yes, use a wet clean and then a dry clean. A little bit of a contact cleaner also works wonderfully to improve your electrical conductivity as well. So when you take your trains apart once in a while to lubricate the axles, for example, that's a great time to go in and also clean the treads of the wheels. O-Gauge trains, you won't find the dirty wheels are as big of an issue because you have a bigger contact area than you do in the smaller scales. For American Flyer, for HO, certainly for N scale, keeping your track and your wheels as clean as possible is really vital to having an enjoyable operating session. But even in O gauge, it's definitely worth taking the time to do this from time to time. And if you clean your track but you never touch your wheels, you're only really handling half of the problem, right? So you always have dirt back on those wheels, putting it right back on the track you just spent hours cleaning. So this is an easy way to get some more of that dirt off of the layout. And like I said, nice thing about this is you set it and forget it. You don't really have to worry about it. Put it on your layout, run your trains. As you see it starting to get a dark line on there, just slide the paper towel over and keep on going, or slide in the new strip. And if you've got someone over and they want to see the layout looking really nice for the first time, really easy to just pop these loops out, and you'll never know it was there. So simple process tonight. I hope some of you give this a try and let us know how it works for you. Let us know if you see that dirt coming off your wheels and see any improvement in your operations. Look forward to seeing you all back here again on March 2nd with Harry. We'll have some great tips and techniques for sure to go over there. And we'll be seeing you on more social media here soon as well. I believe Dave will be back next Monday with the next demos with Dave. I'm not quite sure what he's going to talk about yet. We've got a whole bunch of new samples and new things he's been experimenting with in the office and in the engineering department. So there'll be a lot of good ideas. Barry asked, any ideas for O Fast Track? Barry, this same thing will work the same way on O Fast Track. I've done it on there. You just need a fourth loop because you want to go over that center rail. So works just as well on Fast Track or any brand of 3-rail O gauge track. You just need four wires instead of 3. So really adaptable technique, and definitely give it a try. And so with that, I'll bid you all a good night. Stay safe, everybody. Stay healthy and enjoy your trains. Take care.